Hi, I'm Victoria and welcome to Little Cup of Blessings. Today I want to talk with you about sourdough in the Bible. Yeah, but I also wanted to share with you how I have been making my sourdough starter without having a ton of errors. I know how hard it can be sometimes. And sure, this might not work for everyone, but it has worked very well for me with this recipe, so I hope you will like it too and dare to try it out. And I also have a PDF available to download in the description with the recipe for this sourdough starter. So feel free to go and grab that one if you like to. So for this sourdough starter recipe, I have been using rye flour and of course water. It's not harder than that. But it has several steps and it takes about a week to have a finished sourdough starter. So for day 1, you are going to mix 30 grams of rye flour, that's approximately 1/4 of a cup, and 30 grams of water, which is around 2 tablespoons. And then you mix it all together and let it rest in room temperature with a loose lid or maybe a thin tablecloth. And in the evening the same day, you are repeating the same step, adding this 30 grams of rye and 30 grams of water into the things that you already have mixed, and you let that rest to the next day. So before I move on with the recipe and for next step, I want to talk about sourdough in the Bible. In both Galatians and 1 Corinthians, we can read about that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. In Swedish, we have kind of the same saying, but we express that a little bit of sourdough makes the whole dough sour, which of course has the same meaning, but we just say it in a different way. But when I started to work with sourdough, the wisdom in this really fascinated me, because you truly just need a tiny bit of sourdough to start the leavening process. And the same principle follows with us human, in the church and in ourselves. For example, if you let just a small bit of bitterness enter in yourself or in the church or anywhere, it will make everything just sour. If some immorality or wickedness enter in, it will affect the whole lump, the whole body, or the body of Christ. It is so very important to keep that out of our lives, but also to quickly put it away if it enters, because it will grow and eventually just take over. But as with a sourdough, it grows by feeding it. So if we feed the wickedness that enters, it will grow. But if we stop feeding it, eventually it will lose its strength and be just useless. So I want to really encourage you with this small message today to stop feeding the sourness in your life, in the churches, and maybe in your relationships, so it won't take over and leaven everything. But yeah, that's what I wanted to encourage you to do today. Just think about this sourdough in a bigger perspective, not just your baking. So let's get back to the recipe. So for day 2 until day 5, you should feed your sourdough morning and evenings, but it looks a little bit different this time, because before you will add your new flour and water, you will remove half of the existing sourdough. So that's approximately 60 grams, and then add a new set of 30 grams flour and 30 grams water. Mix it together and let it rest again. And when the starter is getting to get these nice bubbles and starts to rise after a little bit after the feedings, then you know it's successful. When it gets to the point where it starts to double in size after feeding, it is very healthy and soon ready for baking. And at this point, you could also store your sourdough in the fridge and feeding it once a week or more often if you would like to. Just make sure that you have it in room temperature before feeding so it's not cold, and also having it standing outside a while after you have fed it so it will get a chance to get active. From day 6 and forward, you will feed just once a day according to the last feeding process, which means that you take half of the sourdough away and you add another 30 grams of flour and 30 grams of water. Approximately 1 week or 2, your starter is ready for baking. But of course, the longer you feed it before baking, the better. I have made bread after a week and also after 2 weeks, and the outcome after the 2 weeks was for sure better. If that is because of me or because of the starter, I'm not really sure about, but just try it out and see how it goes. But at least 1 or 2 weeks you should wait. And if you would see that your sourdough starter is looking a little bit strange and you are afraid that it will die, you can take just a tablespoon and mix it again with new flour and just restart it, because as we said, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. So you just need a little bit of the old one to start the process in a new one. So that's the good thing about sourdough. It's almost impossible to kill it but it takes some time to get used to the process. So I really hope that this sourdough recipe can help you with getting your starter going. And don't forget that I have a download with a PDF, and let me know how your starter is coming along. I really hope it will be a blessing to you in your homemaking. But also remember what I said about this biblical sourdough. Make sure that nothing sour enters in, and if it does, make sure to remove it right away so it won't have a chance to grow. Thanks for watching and be blessed, and Merry Christmas to you all. Bye!